The moment I locked eyes with the man at the dog park, a man who looked unsettlingly like a younger, slightly harder version of me, and watched him call out a name, Ethan, that was identical to the name of the son I had given up for adoption 50 years ago, I knew the carefully locked box holding the biggest, most painful secret of my life was about to burst open. For half a century, I, Elinor, had carried the weight of a youthful mistake, giving up my infant son for adoption, believing it was the only way to secure a future free from judgment. I never told anyone, not my late husband, not my daughter, Clara. The shock was instant and overwhelming, but the truly devastating blow came when I realized the man was my son's adoptive father and the boy with him, my grandson, was the living proof that life I had erased was thriving just miles from my home. When I finally revealed the impossible truth, it didn't just expose my secret. It threw 3 generations of family history into an abyss of disbelief and recrimination. Was I wrong to chase the shadow of a life I abandoned and force the truth out after 50 years? Or did fate finally give me the chance to apologize for a lifetime of silence? Tell me, if the son you gave up 5 decades ago suddenly appeared as a total stranger in your ordinary life, would you keep the secret safe, or would you risk everything for one last chance at connection? My name is Elinor, and I am 72 years old. I live a quiet, comfortable life in a charming suburban town, defined by routine, gardening, and my loving, if sometimes overly critical, daughter, Clara, who is 48. I was married to Arthur, a wonderful, decent man, for 40 years until he passed away 5 years ago. I am, by all appearances, a completely normal, respectable widow, but I harbor a secret that has been the anchor of my guilt for 50 years, a secret that Arthur went to his grave without knowing. When I was 22, fresh out of college and working a minimum wage job, I became pregnant. The father was a kind boy who immediately disappeared overseas and never returned, leaving me completely alone and terrified. In the societal climate of the 1970s, single motherhood was a scandal that I simply couldn't endure, especially if I wanted the respectable life I craved. I made the agonizing choice to give the baby up for a closed adoption. I named him Ethan before he left the hospital and vowed that I would never speak his name again. That was 50 years ago. I built a new life, met Arthur, and had Clara 10 years later. The past was buried so deep, I sometimes convinced myself it was a dream. My routine involves a daily walk in the large, local park, specifically the section with the big, old oak trees near the dog run. It was there, 3 months ago, that fate decided to play its cruelest trick. I was sitting on a bench, watching the dogs, when I noticed a man struggling to control a large, boisterous golden retriever. The man, who looked to be in his early 50s, was physically striking. He had my late father's distinct shock of prematurely white hair, and, more disturbingly, the same deep, set, dark eyes that had always been my most recognizable feature. He looked like what a son of mine would look like if he hadn't inherited Arthur's softer features. I found myself staring. It was an uncanny resemblance, and a cold dread started creeping up my spine. Then the dog yanked its leash too hard, and the man called out, sharp and exasperated, Ethan, come on, buddy. The name, the face, the age. The confluence of details hit me like a physical wave. My heart slammed against my ribs. Ethan. The name I had whispered bye to 5 decades ago. I stumbled toward the man, forcing myself to speak. "Excuse me," I managed, my voice thin. "Did you say Ethan? That's a lovely name." The man, surprised, smiled kindly. "Yes, Ethan, named after my father, Ethan S.R. He's a bit of a handful." "And your name?" I asked, pushing down the desperate need to reveal everything right there. "I'm David **. Nice to meet you. David, not Ethan." My brain struggled to compute. If this was Ethan, he would be 50. David looked about 52. The ages didn't match the immediate thought, but the eyes did. I spent the next 2 weeks consumed by the encounter. I haunted the dog park, praying to see David again. When I finally did, I was calmer, prepared. I introduced myself properly as Eleanor and feigned a neighborly curiosity. I steered the conversation to family. "You mentioned your father, Ethan S.R. I asked delicately, "Is he still with us?" David looked sad. "No, he passed away 10 years ago. He was a wonderful man, very kind. He actually adopted me when I was a baby. It was a closed adoption, but he was always completely honest with me." The word "adopted" hit me with the force of a train. David, the man who looked like my son, ***, was ***, the adopted son. The 52-year-old was ***, Ethan ***. My son, Ethan, had renamed himself David. No, wait. The paperwork from the 70s was always confusing with the father's name. The pieces snapped together with horrifying clarity. David was the name the adoptive parents gave him, and Ethan was the name of David's ***, adoptive father ***. I quickly found a local obituary online for ***, Ethan Kinsley S.R. ***, the recently deceased adoptive father. The dates and location matched the adoption agency I had used. The coincidence was too vast to be anything else. The man, David, was my son. I was terrified, but I needed absolute proof before I destroyed his life. And mine. I went back to the park, feigned an injury, and asked David to help me to my car. In the brief, agonizing moment he helped me up, I managed to pluck a single strand of hair from the shoulder of his jacket. I sent the hair, along with a sample of my own DNA, to a specialty private lab. 2 weeks later, the results arrived, ***, 99. 99% certainty of a parental match. ***, David Kinsley was my son, Ethan. The shock of confirmation was devastating. He lived 3 miles away. He had a family. I later found out he was married with a son, a grandson I never knew existed. I had spent 50 years grieving an absence, only to find he was present, fully formed, and utterly unaware of the lie of my life. So that's the situation I was in. I had irrefutable proof that the man I met at the dog park, David, was the son I gave up for adoption 50 years ago. He was happy, established, and living 3 miles away. My daughter, Clara, and my late husband, Arthur, never knew. Before I tell you about the calculated risk I took to introduce myself to David and the absolute chaos that erupted when I finally revealed my half-century-old secret, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept the secret, respecting the life he built without you, or would you have approached him, apologizing for the 50 years of silence? I chose to approach him. The weight of 50 years was simply too heavy to carry into my final years. I deserved to apologize, and he deserved to know the full truth of his origins, no matter the consequences. I arranged to meet David Kinsley for coffee, claiming I needed his professional help with a small, fictional garden project, knowing he was a landscape designer. We sat in a quiet corner of a cafe, the air thick with unspoken history. I started slowly, talking about the 1970s, my struggles, and the mistakes of youth. He listened patiently, politely. Then, I took a deep breath. David, I didn't ask you here about a garden. I asked you here because I know something about you that you don't know about me. I pushed a small, velvet-covered box across the table. It contained the DNA test results and a copy of the original 1973 adoption decree, listing my full name. 50 years ago, I said, my voice barely a whisper, I was a terrified 22-year-old. I gave birth to a son and gave him up for adoption. I named him Ethan. David picked up the box, his hands shaking violently as he looked at the documents. The realization dawned on his face. Not anger, but a profound, sickening comprehension. Ethan Kinsley S.R. was the name of my adoptive father, yes, he managed, his voice strained, but my birth mother was Sarah Jenkins. That's what the adoption records said. No, David, that was a lie to protect the adoption agency. I confessed, tears finally streaming down my face. Sarah Jenkins was a pseudonym. My name is Eleanor. I am your biological mother. I am so sorry, David. I am your mother. The reaction was explosive. He didn't scream, but the contained anger was terrifying. He pushed the table away, standing abruptly. You're lying, he choked out. You've been watching me, you followed me, you did a DNA test. This is a sick joke, Eleanor. 50 years of silence, and you drop this on me in a coffee shop. I begged him to sit down, to let me explain. I lost you, David. I spent my life regretting it. I needed to know you were okay. I saw you at the park, and I couldn't ignore the resemblance. His immediate decision was to walk away. Don't contact me. Ever, he warned, his voice dangerously low. I have a family. I have a life. You are not a part of it. The forced silence lasted 2 agonizing weeks. But I had crossed the line. I knew I couldn't stop. I found his house and drove there, knowing this final act would burn everything down. When I knocked, David's wife, a kind woman named Maria answered. I introduced myself calmly as Eleanor and asked if I could speak to David about a very important, personal matter. David came to the door, his face a mask of fury. I told you to leave. I ignored him, looking Maria directly in the eye. Maria, I am here because I made a mistake 50 years ago. The man you call David, the man I met in the park, is my son. I gave him up for adoption, and I am his biological mother. I am truly sorry for the chaos this will cause, but I can't let the lie continue. David exploded, screaming for me to leave. But it was too late. Maria was staring at David, then at me, the full realization sinking in. The immediate fallout was catastrophic. Maria believed David was having an affair, and was now making up a ludicrous story about a secret adoption. It took him hours to calm her down and show her the documents. Their marriage was severely tested, and he blamed me entirely for the destruction. But the worst was yet to come. I told Clara the truth the next day. She was utterly devastated. Not only did she have a biological brother she never knew about, but she was furious that her whole life with Arthur was based on a lie her mother had maintained for decades. She couldn't forgive me for deceiving her father. David has since reached out, but only out of obligation. His family is slowly processing the shock. My relationship with Clara is severely strained, bordering on non-existent. I lost my daughter's trust, but I gained the brutal, painful truth. David and I meet occasionally, always in public, always stiffly. But I see the faint glimmer of connection. I may have ruined the end of my life, but at least I finally told the truth, and I got to see my son one last time. Like this video, if you believe the truth must come out, no matter how old the secret is. Subscribe for more stories about long lost family secrets and shocking discoveries. Share your final thoughts on Eleanor's 50-year secret in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.